Michael Oluwagbemi is Project Director and Chief Executive of the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative. He joins us live from our Abuja studio. You mentioned that the vision is to get at least 1 million natural gas-propelled vehicles on our roads by 2027. I believe that will mark a major energy transition in the transportation industry. But how soon do you see a significant private sector buying?
Yeah, we're already seeing it. As I indicated, in the last 4 months, after we had a robust investor forum in 2023 December. And right after that, we've seen investment of over $50 million in the sector. Various companies today are announcing investment in refueling plants, in mother station investments in virtual pipelines, investment in daughter stations, investments across the value chain of setting up conversion workshops. Some are even looking at setting up manufacturing plants, including manufacturing of CNG cylinders, auto gas conversion kits, valves. All of these things are coming every day. We are seeing in NMPDRA the level of permitting requests has jumped up dramatically. There's over 120 permits requests currently now being attended to by the authority. That indicates that investors are interested in buying it. The reality is that the government alone cannot do it all. The required investment for us to get those 1,000 vehicles, we estimate will be about 1 million vehicles, by 2027, we estimate will be about $2.5 billion. Even at best, if government is able to mobilize $500 billion, which is quite significant, if you can imagine, over the next 4 years, then we still need the private sector to fund almost $2 billion. And so they need to believe, and our engagement with them indicates that they're beginning to see that the government is serious about this transition. We've offered import duty waivers, we've offered VAT waiver. More recently, of course, we've offered this concessionary pricing to stimulate investments, because the gas suppliers will then see that they can be able to recover the investment faster. We are offering a fiscal template basically to encourage investment into the CNG sector and to drive Nigeria's transition to the cleaner, cheaper, and safer and more reliable source of energy for our transportation sector, which helps us to reduce inflation, creates jobs, and also allows Nigeria to utilize its God's-given resources to generate, to have competitive advantage in the world.
You talked about close to 40% discount with the special concessionary pricing for mobility CNG. You expect Nigerians to, fancy that and consider it as a cheaper alternative. But what is government's plan to standardize potential vehicle modifications to take advantage of this privilege? 100 conversion workshops might not cut it. Do you agree?
Absolutely. So right across the country today, we've encouraged, just starting by November when we started this off, there were less than 7 well-kitted conversion workshops in Nigeria. So I'm speaking to you now, at least there's about 40 of them in development that will be ready by May 29, mostly driven by the private sector, right? But that work started from right off the bat when we started working with the various agencies that have any tangential relationship with the conversion industry. We needed to set a standard, working with the Standard Organization of Nigeria and the Nigerian Automotive Design and Development Council, as well as the other agencies that are working in the industry. Setting that standard allows investment to be made. And setting that standard also allowed us to ensure that when the conversions are done, they will be done safely, and they will ensure that vehicles are reliable. What we have done since then, in March 2024, just a month ago, those 80 regulations were signed off by the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment. All the 22 agencies that will develop the different regulations and guidelines are beginning to develop those regulations and guidelines. NEDC led off the bat about 3 weeks ago. There were workshops working on the curriculum for training of conversion technicians. The Nigerian Institute of Training Transport Technology has also been engaged in a series of training workshops and development of curriculum around this issue, and they are working on that. But even more importantly is that our committee, working with stakeholders, we're coming up with a monitoring system, which we call the Nigerian Gas Vehicle Monitoring System, to ensure that gas vehicles that are converted, as well as those that are OEM manufactured, because those also have to go through routine testing and inspection, are monitored end to end, so that we ensure not just the safety, but even more importantly, the reliability. Because intrinsically, CNG is much safer than PMS. CNG is much safer than its counterparts that are derived from crude oil. It's lighter. It's stored in a bulletproof container. It's the flash point for CNG. It's much higher, to over 250 degrees. It doesn't settle, so it dissipates very quickly in air. So all of those attributes make it safe. But the reality is that you also want to ensure that once you convert your vehicle does not go back to the mechanical workshop all the time. We need to make sure it is reliable. So we need to make sure that it's done by a certified technician in a certified workshop, leveraging certified techniques and using standardized equipment. And that is the reason why we've undertaken this work of standardization and regulatory framework development in the last 6 months. This has been, I believe you asked me, one of the easily our most important achievement in the last 6 months, ensuring that this regulatory framework is put in place. And that now we are developing the NGVMS, which will be launched as soon as we roll out on May 29th.
And that's very key, because we have to also consider safety on the roads. You know, by the time we get quacks into this, the potential disaster can be huge. But then the government is also talking about launching 2,000 CNG power buses by May. But there are states like Kano and Borno states which do not currently have access to CNG as we speak. So government is proposing about 100 electric cars. Are you privy to the electricity infrastructure plan to power this initiative?
Yes, the EV strategy also falls within our purview. Our mandate is to support alternative energy for the transport sector. That includes both CNG and EV. The EV infrastructure we are particularly focused on launching in universities out of the bat, and working with very specified operators, and that component is being developed as we speak. We've worked severally with even existing government agencies to put some minimal infrastructure in place. In the last 6 months, for example, with a rural electrification agency, to put some infrastructure in about 6 cities for electric EV charging. And we'll continue to do more of that. At the end of the day, like I always say, our work and our role at the initiative is not to replace the private sector. Our work is to catalyze them. Our work is to enable them. Our work is to ensure that the work gets done faster. That's the reason why we are focused on providing incentives, tax rebates, waivers, as well as the necessary regulatory permits expediting that is needed by the private sector in order to deliver this project on time.